Okay, I know everyone knows his story. Uh, Personally, I haven't been kept updated with it. I haven't seen anything about it to keep update with it, but I do know about this story. I do know what's actually slightly happened and everything like that. I don't know what the reasoning why it happened or anything like that, but yeah, I do know what actually happened with this one. But this one is called "This Will Bankrupt This Disrespectful IRL Streamer in Korea." Shout out to a Tootsie for the video. And we all know this one. It's Jhonny Somali in Korea, doing dumb stuff. The last time I see something about this guy, he just got beaten the shit out of. Really, it's kind of crazy. But yeah.
Oh boy, well, it's safe to say the most hated IRL streamer is in a lot of trouble in Korea, as he has multiple police reports against him and has officially been indicted. But how much trouble is he actually facing? Well, that's what we're going to be finding out in today's video, because I got in contact with an attorney based in Korea who's been very involved with the story and has a way better understanding of how the Korean legal system works.
Imagine actually having to reach out to someone to find out what's going on, to actually understand how the legal system works, to see what's actually happening to one person in the thing, because that's how much mayhem he's caused in Korea so far. He's literally caused so much mayhem. Everyone wants him gone. Everyone, like, no country wants him. I'm guessing America don't even want him back. Like, it's getting to that point. Like,
because after talking to him for about half an hour, I really found out how bad things really are for this disrespectful IRL streamer. So here's my conversation with him.
I've been told by a lot of people here that the international coverage of this issue is significantly helping expedite this. So that's actually a really good thing.
As an attorney, what are your thoughts on how Japan handled the situation? I just wanted to ask you that before we talk about the Korean situation.
Fair enough. Good question. Good question.
And I'll say this too, and this is like a caveat that goes over everything, but I'll say it multiple times, but because it's important to say. Obviously, I am not a Japanese or Korean lawyer, right? So when I speak about Japanese or Korean law, it's through usually friends of mine who are lawyers in Japan or Korea who have explained it to me, right? And as an American lawyer, obviously, it makes a lot more sense to me than perhaps the normal person, because we're used to criminal procedure, civil procedure, etc. Right?
Okay.
So when we look at what happens, also as an aside, one of my businesses is helping folks come over to Asia, to Korea, Japan, Thailand. So I am familiar with immigration, the visa process, and what often happens with deportation, right? Which can happen with deportation. So
Fair
that
enough.
said, Japan handled this in a very interesting way. So they could have brought more charges against him. It was possible to levy more charges against him. However, what they ultimately ended up doing was saying, okay, we're going to have this one charge, this relatively minor charge.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to enter into a plea, right? We're not going to sentence you. We're going to release you. You are going to have to leave. But because he was found guilty of that plea, he's now blacklisted for 5 years.
Right? So they got him. So what they done was they either, like the guy said, they could either charged him for quite a long time in jail, but I felt like they didn't even want him in the country, so they just gave him a plea deal, which pretty much like convinced him to take, and they pretty much tricked him into once he took the plea deal, he was banned from the country. What was it, for 5 years? That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, that was smart plays from Korea, obviously. Very smart plays. Because what I was thinking is that, like, yeah, they just didn't want him in the country once he said that.
Japanese
they just didn't want him there.
So he cannot go to Japan. So right now, one of the jokes that Jhonny was saying was, he's going to go to Jeju, which is an island. It's like Korea's Hawaii, right? Even if he went to Jeju on a boat, he couldn't go anywhere because the only options are China, which good luck there, North Korea or Japan that are right next to us, maritime neighbors. And he can't go to Japan. He's locked out. He's banned for 5 years. So a lot of people think Japan should have gone harder on him, but frankly, they did not have the volume of video evidence that we have in Korea. And Korea, this is something that folks don't know as compared to Japan, Korea has a lot more CCTVs.
Okay.
So there's probably a lot more footage we're not even seeing of Jhonny Somali from different angles that's not that he did not stream, because a lot of the footage we're seeing as YouTubers online is from Jhonny's perspective during his own streams.
Yeah.
But mind you, every single store in Korea, everywhere you go, there's CCTVs everywhere, and I guarantee you, in this case, the police have pulled a lot of that footage, and they've proven that he indeed has done these things.
Wow. Okay, so
that.
you think
the fact that they even have the
things are gonna be
footage on
very
their
different in
phones
Korea
already
than what
before they
were
even
in
walk up
Japan?
to him is crazy.
Very, very different. And also the fact is the prosecutors and authorities here are very aware of what he did in Japan.
Okay.
Unlike in Japan, where they really weren't aware of his history or his background or anything else, the judge, when he made a public apology, which he did in Japan, had every reason to believe he was sincere, because he hadn't really ever done something like that in another country, another place. After Japan, of course, we all know that he left Japan, and then as soon as he left Japan, he insulted Japan. He showed pictures of the atomic bombs. He insulted Japanese people. You know,
Why,
China
man?
#1.
Why?
He did all those taunts
Why would you
after he
do
left
that?
the country. So Korea can look at that behavior and say, well, you know, we don't put much on this public apology, which, by the way, in many Asian countries, right, including Korea and Japan, a public apology can be used to mitigate the punishment, right? So if somebody's done a public apology, they show remorse, right? That can be used to mitigate punishment. And that's also true in the US too, right? When they go to sentencing, showing remorse can be a factor for lowering the sentencing and not giving someone the maximum sentence. So I think when we look at the criminal guidelines, right, and we look at minimum and maximum, right, you have to think, okay, what would be maximum? That would be something that is very aggravated, that's very intentional, that's very willful, that's malicious. What's something that's the minimum? Somebody that did something perhaps where there's a lot of remorse, right, where it might have been something that was accidental, right, or there was some mitigating circumstance. And when we look at Jhonny, you know, it's closer.
There's
to
no
the
remorse
top
in
end
Jhonny.
of
I've seen a couple of clips he's done. There's no remorse.
Right?
Interesting.
Because of his actions, because of what he said. And one interesting thing which I pointed out, and this is something that my Korean friends who are very well versed in the law, including lawyers, have told me, Jhonny is facing multiple crimes in Korea. So he has this obstruction of business one, which was just indicted on, which means it was sent to the prosecutors, and the prosecutors recommended this for trial. That's charge number one. But the police are still investigating several other charges against him, including the drug use, including assault, including deepfakes, including, you know, all sorts of other things that people are now reporting. So he can be charged just because he's got this first offense. He can still go through with charges and trials on all of those other issues. And if he's found guilty of this first offense, for the second, third, fourth, and fifth, he will be a convicted criminal. He will be a repeat offender.
Okay.
So when they look
yeah,
at
but that's
scale
everything,
of
though.
maximum
Come
punishment to
on.
minimum,
That's just law in
that's gonna
general.
send it flying to
But
the
you
top.
just he just went on like a fucking 15-minute, like nearly 20-minute conversation, like thingy, just to pretty much explain that he could be he could be a reoffended, convicted criminal. But that's every single person, is it not? If you go rob a house and then go to prison, do your time, come out of prison, go rob a house again, that's reoffending, is it not? Come on now, man, just stop wasting my time.
He is now a repeat offender. He's now a convicted criminal.
Okay, yeah, so that kind of brings me into my next question, because there was a bunch of Discord logs coming from their server claiming that
Booking your summer 2025 holiday early.
God damn it.
£0 deposit and free kids places feels like.
that some of these charges are been dropped.
Wait, where's that? Any update on Jhonny? Jhonny has 2 more weeks in Korea. Still, it was a month of ban. I'm gonna say damn, not ban. Damn.
Has anything officially been dropped yet?
Well, that's always the problem. I wouldn't believe a single thing Jhonny Somali or his Discord bros are saying. I mean, obviously, they're going to say a lot of stuff that is absolutely ridiculous, right? If something is dropped, we're going to hear formally about it. Right now, what can happen and what may happen is, and I've explained the on my videos, I've had a process timeline for Korea, because the process in Korea is different. In Korea, you file a criminal complaint, and unlike in the US, individuals can file a complaint and often are required to file a complaint, to fill out the charge, to fill out exactly what the allegations are. The police often don't do that for you. You often have to do that yourself.
Okay.
So you fill out this criminal complaint, you file it with the police, and then the police conduct an investigation, and they decide whether to refer that to the prosecutors or not. So it's possible that some people have submitted things to the police, and the police have said, you know what, we're not going to send this to the prosecutor's office, right? So, for example, the one issue that I've brought up, the one that is debated right now, is that deepfake charge by Bong Bong IRL, the Korean female streamer.
Who's that?
It's debated
What's
whether
happened there?
she submitted a complaint. We saw video of that, but she subsequently experienced kind of, I guess, a change of mind. And it seems like she was lashing out at Korean netizens and Koreans in general. So she may have pulled that back, or she may have said, hey, look, I'm not going to testify in this or get involved. And the police may have just decided, no, we're not going to refer this one over. But they might still be holding it. They might still be looking at it. We haven't gotten any official confirmation one way or another. So I would not trust anything that's coming from Jhonny and his.
What happened with that one then?
In terms of what's
that
been
dropped.
That
one sounds a bit crazy. There was something to do with a female.
Is that there are several that are on the table. Most importantly, assault and drug use are still on the table. Have not been taken off.
An assault. Who the hell is Jhonny Somali assaulting, bro? I've seen videos of him getting his ass handed to him. Who the hell is he assaulting? I can definitely tell by the drug use because he looks like an. Yeah. I'm not gonna say anything more, but he looks like someone who takes a certain something, you know. Yeah, but the assault, I don't know about that one. Still, public indecency, 100%, everything like that, but not assault. I can't see him putting his hands on someone because he just looks like someone who will just get slapped into oblivion if he tries anything. He gives it all of that. That's the people who will get slapped to oblivion. People will give it all the verbal. If you get what I mean, the people who will just stand there, verbal talk you, everything like that. They can't do anything. They can't do nada.
Off the table yet.
Okay, and the assault, I was a little bit confused about that. Where is the assault charge from?
That's actually interesting, and there's potentially multiple sources. It's much like the business obstruction. Actually, there's two separate instances at the same convenience store, the same 7-Eleven in Hongdae.
Okay.
So you can have multiple instances, and the prosecutors can combine them. So what the prosecutors may be doing now, and this is speculation, but this is, I think, reasonable speculation, is they may be looking at all the video, and they may be looking at every instance where Jhonny potentially assaulted somebody, right? And saying, okay, how many of these can we stack together? How many charges can we get? Because right now they're collecting multiple reports, which is why I've called out, because I have many Korean viewers now, many folks calling in and giving messages from Korea, that if you are in these videos, you need to consider filing against Jhonny Somali. Right? Many of the Korean YouTubers, right, are filing against Jhonny Somali or have filed against Jhonny Somali.
Well, the ones who beat was that the ones who beat him up? That looked like the ones who beat him up. Why are they filing against him?
Okay, these things can add up. So we don't know specifically. My inkling is it's going to be multiple accounts.
Interesting. So like he can really end up in prison for a long time in Korea then.
It is potential that he could. Yes, he has potential to end up here for a significant period of time. And one of the things, even with the obstruction charge, is they had the option of going down two roads. One of those roads was towards summary proceedings, which essentially is a quick, fast proceeding where the judge just essentially says, okay, here's what we're gonna give you. It's probably gonna be a fine and what's called a suspended sentence. Which
fine and a slap on the wrist.
You just live your free life, walking around doing whatever. But you've got to stay in Korea for that period of time. They might have done that if it wasn't that serious, but because there's been so much pressure, including international pressure from coverage like international YouTubers' videos that are getting out on this, they've sent it the trial route, which is the other route. They've officially indicted him, which means there will be a public trial in Korea.
A public trial.
It's not sure.
Was he gonna start getting shamed down the street in that? Shame. Like, what is a public trial? Like,
whether it's with a judge or a jury.
I wouldn't like that personally if I was Jhonny.
Compared to the U.S., so it might just be a trial where there's a criminal trial where it's just a judge and Jhonny. However, That's the route we're going down, and under that route, the punishment is always more severe, typically jail time. All
Damn.
lawyers that I've spoken to here say this indicates that they're looking to seriously and severely punish Jhonny.
Wow. Will this trial be public?
Yes, I will be there at every single hearing that I can be at.
Oh, wow.
And
He's
it
milking
but
it.
it will not be televised. That's the important thing. So Korea does not
Oh,
televise
okay.
trials. Most jurisdictions don't. The United States has very rare
Bruv, he
sunshine
got
laws
so
in a lot
big.
of states, like in Florida,
He
and
got
transparency
so
laws in
big
other states
in
that
Korea.
allow for filming. But
They're
even in the
public,
US, not all
like
trials
they
are allowed to be
public
filmed,
his
and most
trial.
significantly, federal
Like, so
trials
people,
cannot be filmed.
you know,
Which,
people are
I
going to
think
go
is a
watch
great
because they want to
disservice.
see him
But,
go down. It's
I'm
like
going to be
he.
reporting before the trial.
I feel to a point. I feel like he's the Jake Paul of Korea. You know what I mean? Everyone wants, like, look at Jake Paul and Mike Tyson last night. Everyone wants to see Jake Paul get knocked out, but I feel like that's what everyone feels like with Jhonny Somali as well, especially Korea. Damn, that's
the
crazy.
trial at every hearing I can go to, and if I can't attend, I'll have somebody here that I trust attend, and I'll report what goes on during those hearings.
Okay, so you cannot record within the trial, essentially. So you can't film or record audio?
Not legally.
Okay,
No.
interesting. Yeah, you don't want to risk anything. Don't crash out over him.
I'm not trying to do anything, but I've heard some. Let me just say this: I've heard some people that are YouTubers and streamers here saying, "Oh man, I want to take the risk. I want to go for it." I'm like, you can do whatever you want, but I'm staying clear of the law. I'm a lawyer here. I stay clear of the law.
Yeah.
So I'm staying out of that.
Why do you think he hasn't officially been arrested yet? Like, why is he roaming around freely right now?
First of all, that's a difference in the Korean process, and people misunderstand that. And he has
that was
been
another very good
arrested,
question,
right? He's already been taken in, booked. They got his photo. They told him the charges against him. So he's gone through that booking process. It's kind of like being released on bail, right? Except for there's just, that's the automatic presumption is they just let you go. And here's the logic. And I think when you really think about this, it makes a lot of sense. If you have somebody in jail, you have to feed them. You have to clothe them. You have to provide them with some basic services. You have to allow them to stay somewhere, right? So you have to
so it
maintain
becomes
facilities.
much more
Korea
money
says, hey, look,
for them.
as a foreigner, you've got to pay for all that yourself.
Oh,
so
okay.
The bills are coming in on Jhonny.
What? So even if you're a foreigner and you go to, like, for instance, like Korea, and you get put in prison, you have to pay for your own prison food and everything like that yourself. That is crazy. What? They don't supply anything in prison? Well, they probably do if you lived in their country, but as a foreigner, no. That is crazy still.
Somali, right? He's not legally allowed to work here, right? Which is a separate issue,
makes
right?
sense.
And whether his streaming activities constitute his work is a gray area, right? But he should not really be making that much money. So he's having to suffer really here in Korea through the pendency of the trial, which could take a while. So imagine you're in a foreign country and you've got to pay for months and months and months and months. Jhonny Somali is not that wealthy. He does not have that much money. So this is actually going to be a significant burden on him to just maintain himself in this country, particularly since he can't farm it for clout. So in these months, he can't be clout farming because that's just going to add additional charges, aggravate things here in Korea. It's not going to help him out at all. So that's going to be a big burden on Jhonny Somali. It's essentially shutting down his business operations for months, if not years.
So what are the legal costs like in Korea? Because I know here in the US, they're outrageous. I got sued for context a couple of years back, and just getting quoted how much they ended up dropping the case before it went to trial. So thankfully I wasn't burdened with that. But I mean, I was quoted hundreds of thousands of dollars just to defend myself. So like, what are the costs he's looking at to defend himself here?
Now costs are a little bit lower in Korea because the average is a little bit lower in terms of what folks would own. But the thing is, because Jhonny Somali is such a high profile case, because he has so many things coming against him, right? To hire a competent defense lawyer would in fact be quite expensive. To put an estimate on it, and they do the same system of retainer, so you need to give some money up front, right? So I imagine that this lawyer wouldn't even start working for him, even just in the beginning, without something like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 up front, even for the basics, even for the absolute basics, in terms of just an upfront retainer, not to mention not to mention representing him throughout the whole pendency of the trial and the period.
Yeah.
Now, they are entitled, like in the US, to a public defender, right?
Mm.
Because these are criminal charges. So he can take the services of a free public defender, a state-provided public defender. But as we know in the United States, anybody who's any interaction with the criminal system and public defenders, much like in the United States, quality may vary when it comes to public defenders. You can get some that are really good, and you can get some that kind of are phoning it in. They're government employees. They get a very low wage relative to private attorneys, right? And the other thing about Korean attorneys is they're very frank, and this is what I love about Koreans. And I love about Korea. The reason why I love staying here, living here, is they're very direct. And I tell a story of when I went into a lawyer here because I was fixing up my visa. I was converting it from one type of visa, business visa, to another type of visa, and I had submitted the wrong paperwork. And when I went into that attorney, the first thing they told me, they're like, you screwed up, right? That's my first interaction with my lawyer. I love it, but they're very direct. So I can imagine with Jhonny, they would sit him down and grill him for hours on everything he did wrong and why what he did was wrong. Koreans do not play around like that. They're very, very direct. I love that about them.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
So
fair enough.
I can see a lawyer that he approaches absolutely chewing him out and requiring a large amount just to even deal with it. So this could be something that costs him easily in US dollars. This could get 6 figures. Absolutely. Because of the volume of charges, right? So over the whole case, over all the money you'd have to get, 6 figures is definitely possible in terms of legal costs.
Damn. US dollars as well, bro.
That's insane.
Hey, Jhonny, Somali, you better start putting your piggy bank away, mate.
I guess to the next question. When it comes to prosecution of this case, are they going to go for like as much punishment as possible, or do you think they're going to try to be a little bit lenient?
No,
like,
minimum.
What do you think the odds are here?
Minimum, 100%.
So typically with most foreigners, they are very lenient. So in fact, for most foreigners, the solution is deportation. So they're just like, look, we're just going to deport you and then we're going to blacklist you, right? So you can't come back. That's typical foreigner punishment. Because at the end of the day, I mean, that's a pretty good punishment for most things, right? And typically you get something like, for example, drug use. If someone brought pot, it's very severe, but you're going to immediately get deported. You're going to get, hit with that and then deported pretty quickly. Right? You do something like DUI or whatever, fighting, etc. They're probably just going to deport you, probably get you out of the country. But in Jhonny's case, because it's risen to national
But in Jhonny's case, that is the main question.
Parliament here are bought in on this. They're in fact, recently drafting new bills in Parliament, specifically to deal with Jhonny Somalis or Jhonny Somali type scenarios in the future. This has gotten to national scale. So because it's that big, they're looking at this and saying, yeah, we kind of need to give some severe punishment here. So they're looking at
they're trying to set an example out.
I think that they're going to push as much as they can, given the evidence that they have, towards the severe
100%.
Now, of course, the ultimate sentencing is up to that judge, right? So they would be whoever is the judge, them looking at the evidence and making the assessment once they find him guilty, which, by the way, he is dead to rights on the interference with business, obstruction of business.
Damn.
That is like
he's just admitted it right there. He's done deal sealed for the whatever he's just done, whatever he just said. But that is crazy.
Several lawyers, people very intimately aware of this. This one is a slam dunk based on that convenience store footage, both of him throwing the ramen, yelling at the woman, and then at the same convenience store in Hongdae, when it was the old man that comes outside and chases him when he was drinking the soju, and he was yelling at the people on the street. He called one woman the B word, right?
Damn.
That's the same store. Both of those things count as interference with business. Clear as day in Korea.
Wow.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
So, what is the latest updates of all of this that you know of right now?
So the latest updates, other than the biggest news, is the indictment. The fact that this is going to trial, that this is going to be something public. This is something that I will go in and cover. This is something that we're going to hear.
Yeah, bro, we've already said this bit, mate. You're kind of repeating yourself.
Absolutely massive. There was a little bit of the news and the scuttlebutt about the passport, right?
Oh, okay.
But the thing that he doesn't realize, and most people don't realize, is that Korean system. This is not 1890. right? Korea is a very technologically advanced country, and their system is digital. So the travel bans that are issued are nationwide, and he's not going to be able to get out of any port of entry, any place that he could possibly leave, because that's all digital, right? So even if he doesn't go to Incheon Airport, Seoul Incheon Airport, which is the main international airport, if he goes to Gimpo, if he goes to Busan, if he goes to Pohang, any Daegu, any city in Korea, they're not going to let him out. They're going to go, he's going to show up to the flight desk, and they're not even going to issue him a ticket. They won't even give him a ticket. He's not even going to get to immigration.
Interesting.
So he's totally locked down here in Korea.
So then I've been watching your recent coverage on this, and something that has came up quite a few times is cabbage memes in regards to him. Can you explain that? So why are you guys memeing that he is going to become a cabbage farmer?
So Korea, they actually thought about getting rid of this, but they didn't pass the law to get rid of this. So technically, if you get hit with a prison sentence, and part of that prison sentence includes a fine, and in the U.S. we have a system where, you know, sometimes you get hit with both jail time and a monetary penalty as well. That's possible. Both are possible. So if you get hit with both and you cannot pay the fines, they still can send you to forced labor. Now, in Korea, there's 3 different areas where you get sent. Number 1 is a factory. Number 2 is a road work, so it's kind of the chain gang, so to say, as we might be, you know, using it in the U.S. So working on the roads, paving the roads, cleaning the roads. And the third one, because there's a shortage of workers, there's a legitimate shortage of workers here in Korea, is agricultural work. That is one area where they send people out there. So my you know, theory craft here is that he could be sent out to literally the cabbage fields of Korea to be farming that lovely.
I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
That would just be meme magic.
Yeah,
It'd be perfect.
man.
Of course, yes, it's a low probability scenario.
You would love to see
there's
that,
other
man.
things you could be sent to do if you had to pay that fine. But it is absolutely hilarious. And you know what? Jhonny Somali deserves to be memed into oblivion.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, IRL streaming can be so cool. And it's such a shame that now it's just so associated with his negative behavior, which is, like, one of the main reasons I've been covering as well. Like, I've been covering just people doing laughably stupid stuff on the internet for the last, like, 8 years. And he's just been kind of at the top of that for the last couple of months. So hence why he's just been getting a lot of coverage from me, because he just keeps blowing my mind with stooping to a lower and lower level. One other thing that kind of surprised me was he said that he wanted to sue you.
Wait, he wanted to sue him?
He wanted to sue me, and I don't know what for.
He wanted to sue him.
He's going to try to do. Obviously, nothing I'm covering is defamation or insult, even though the defamation laws and insult laws are different in Asia, right? Obviously, I'm doing news coverage, the same sort of news coverage that a public news agency would do, etc. Right? I'm a member of the media, as Elon says, we are the media now. This is media coverage like anybody else. I'm covered and afforded the same protections. It is inherently in the public interest. This is a matter of great public interest. So even if he was to try that here, which, by the way, once again, he would have to find the money to do that. He would have to get all of my information. He'd have to have my location. Good luck on that. And he'd have to serve me properly with the complaint, right? So very difficult process. Pressing X to doubt on that, it would be very, very difficult. But yeah, he did threaten to sue me in his Discord. He said he's going to file charges against me or something.
Oh, come on, man.
Once again, good luck with that, Jhonny.
Yeah,
and even if he did, which I would actually invite it, because I would cover the absolute destruction of this guy in court publicly for everybody to enjoy. And I would love, I love a good bull suit. I love a good bull suit. It's great.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I guess it's just more content.
It's content. Yeah, you're gonna give. I'm a legal content creator. You're gonna threaten to sue a legal content creator that I can cover entirely for content. Thank you, Jhonny. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for taking your time to come on my show and explain some of the details that were very unclear while covering it. Also, like, just because so much of this is breaking in either Korean or in Japanese, so I've been just like running through all the the translation bots I can possibly do to like get the gist of what's going on. So it was great to ask you questions.
The translation bot you had for Pong Pong at the station, I was like, that was so rough.
That was very botched. I realized it quickly, which is why I didn't play the whole clip.
Sell like magic. Shopify's new AI tools.
I'm just like, well, maybe we understood 30% of what's going on here, but
It's not ready for prime time. I want to give a big shout out real quick to my Korean friends here. I'm talking to a lot of folks here, whether they're, I have a good friend who's a professor of linguistics at Suwon University, Dr. Ulrich. He's a great guy.
Fair enough.
He's been helping me with a lot of translations and a lot of videos. I've had a lot of Korean friends here, thanks to my Korean friends that are lawyers and legal experts in the legal field here that have helped me with translations. I'm relying heavily on them. My Korean is not great. I survived 3 years in Korea, pretty much knowing 감사합니다, which is thank you, and 읽어주세요, which is give me that, please.
Fair enough.
I really appreciate all my Korean friends and my Korean partners, and also all the small Korean channels. I have always given them permission to clip me and use my clips in any way and translate them anyway, because this message is a really good message. It needs to get out there, and our coverage of it is helping Korea.
Fair enough.
The system push this through. So I'm really thankful for all those that have translated this into Korean.
and yeah, just I'll kind of retweet that as well. Like, you can take any of my clips from my channel and dub them into Korean if you guys want to do so and rebroadcast them. And also, I've hit up 3 guys to translate into Korean, because all of those videos I was trying to get a hold of translators and they didn't get back to me until 3 days later, and I'm like, this is way too late. I mean, the video is already up now. No.
You're just working on the speed of YouTube. It's
I
another
know.
level, you know?
It's quick turnaround times here, unfortunately, because there's just so much that happens every single day now. It's crazy.
It's old news 2, 3, 4, 5 days from now. So, and the process is only going to get crazier. Obviously, one of the next things we'll have to look forward to is a hearing announcement, when his first hearing is, an initial appearance.
Okay.
Right. And there's obviously things that'll happen in terms of announcements of the other crimes. Right. And then let's say he was to start streaming again and say something stupid or post something stupid on one of his platforms, there might be other stuff there. So we'll see. Jhonny Somali continues to dig himself in deep, and his
he's
his
digging
allies
himself
aren't
that
helping
trench,
him.
brother.
His-
It's already pretty
certainly his
deep so
fans aren't
far. I
helping him.
could definitely tell you that.
Not. So what do you think the timeline is on the announcement of his trial, roughly?
I don't want to make a prediction just yet, but I do think in general it will be expedited. These things typically can take up to 2 years, but I don't think it's going to take that long, right? So the whole process from criminal complaint charged to trial can take 2 years.
Wow.
In fact, the investigation phase, the police investigation, is typically 2 to 4 months before they send a recommendation to the prosecutor. The prosecutors typically do investigations for 2 to 4 months. That's up to 8 months right there, just an investigation that can happen on a typical case. They've moved this in weeks, right? All
Okay.
the way up to the trial stage. That's very fast. So because they're expediting this, I don't want to give a prediction, because this could go very, very fast. We could see a trial date, at least a first trial date, in the near future. To be very clear, in Korea, there's several hearings that are spaced out. So the first appearance is not going to be
this
like the
guy don't
ultimate
stop
trial. It's
talking,
not
man.
like
Sometimes.
it's not OJ trial or something else where you have day one and it goes through the process and it's over in a couple weeks. That's not how it works here.
So this can be dragged on for a long time.
There could be one hearing and then a month or two before the next hearing, right? So
Interesting.
there can be spaced out hearings, right? Typically there's 2 to 4.
Okay.
So this is something that could be over the course of a couple months, which is fine for me. We'll see it all the way through.
Wow. Well, yeah, that answers all my questions. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll stay in touch, because I'm assuming this will be dragged on for quite a while.
Yes, it will. And thank you for covering it once again. I appreciate it. And also thank you for having me on for an interview. It's my pleasure to talk with you from lovely Seoul, South Korea.
Awesome. No worries. And guys, make sure to go check out Legal Mindset, because he is also giving
WFID, Atozi. Damn, that one was actually a pretty decent one, Not bad.